Okay, so here we are, our very first podcast, if you will, of the Go Big Small Biz Network. I'm Jeff Joaquin, and you're...
Tracy Joaquin.
Yes. So the Go Big Small Biz Network, right? We exist to prevent government overreach into small businesses. And so here today, we're here to tell you a little bit about what we do, touch a little bit on some of the legislation that's in the House right now that's pending, as well as a recent federal law, and how you can be part of the network itself, right?
Sure. And can we talk about why we're even here?
Yeah,
All
for it.
All right. Well, we're here. We didn't want to necessarily do this, but here we are.
Yep.
So we lost a business during COVID, 2 businesses, and we really didn't know what to do about all of that. And we were angry. So we called up our local rep and found out maybe he didn't know what to do with us either.
Mm-hmm.
And we tried not to do this. We tried to just, what would be the word? Complacent, just sit back. But no, we were called to do this and to make a difference. So here we are with the Go Big Small Biz Network. It took us about 2 years to figure out how we wanted to do it. And we've been at it for another 2 years or so.
Yeah, it was eye-opening being with our local representative, Pennsylvania representative, because we realized then that we were the typical small business person, right? We were busy doing our business. We didn't know really what to do with the state representative anyway, right?
Honestly, we were working 7 days a week.
Yep.
So most small businesses are working 6 to 7 days a week.
So what we learned in that process is we learned that if we were to develop a network, right, of small business leaders, creating a unified and mobilized voice, that we could actually make a difference in terms of some of the legislation that's being written that's actually very harmful to small business.
You're busy doing your business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're working your 60 hours. You don't have time for this. But we decided that we wanted to do this for you. And that's part of what the network is, giving a big voice to small business.
Yeah, and so what we did is we landed on 3 pillars, okay? We landed on education, we landed on communication, and advocate, right? So we advocate, we educate, and we communicate. What does that mean? We advocate, so we are working with the government affairs team. We are constantly at the Capitol meeting with legislators, right? Learning the ropes behind the Capitol in terms of how things actually really work. We've met with several legislators that are very supportive of what we're doing. And we met with a few that, maybe just think a little differently. In fact, one of the big things we learned is that many of our legislators have never run a small business before. They've never signed the front of a paycheck. And they admit that, right?
Right.
They talk to us about, listen, we just think this would be a good idea for the people, whatever that piece of legislation is. We're going to talk about a couple of those. But what they're missing is how it affects the business owner, the small business owner, the kind of stress it puts on small business owners.
Right.
Yeah. So specifically, let's talk about
that. So first of all, in the last year and a half, we met 19 representatives, 6 senators, and 2 congressmen in the state of PA. So that's pretty amazing. Why is that amazing? Because we're not even their constituents. So they opened up their doors for us. We also have had the ability to sit down and listen to hearings on some of the bills that we're going to be talking about today. So it was an eye-opening experience to hear one of our PA legislators actually say, I think you'd like to say it better than I do.
Yeah, she said, I don't care about the small business owner. I care about the people.
The employees.
Yeah, the employees are making the small business owner rich.
Right. I do not care about the employers, period.
Yeah.
And that was really hard to hear.
That was very hard to hear.
But that, it might be hard to hear, but it's obviously reality.
But it's reality. So obviously there's two sides to every story, right? There's one side that believes that, for instance, raising minimum wage would be really good for the people.
Right.
There's another side that realizes raising the minimum wage would be very harmful to small business. So that's one of the pieces of legislation we're currently tracking.
It's HB 1500. I think there's one in the Senate as well. So yes.
There's like 20 pieces of legislation right now out there that are pending. Some have passed the House and on their way to the Senate. Some are still sitting in the House waiting even to get to the House floor. But we have a couple that we'd like to talk about now.
So when we say we don't want minimum wage to be increased, we're not saying that we hate our employees and we don't want to pay them.
Right.
It's not that. It's that, first of all, we want to be able to just run our own business without government telling us what we have to pay.
Mm-hmm.
There's a huge majority of people, I think it's only, 6% of our PA businesses that are paying minimum wage.
Right.
That's not a ton. So most of us are not paying minimum wage.
A large part of them are nonprofits, and that minimum wage is being paid to a lot of the nonprofit employees.
Or young.
It's there because you can't work for a nonprofit for nothing. You have to be paid something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually good for that to be, right now it's at $7.25 an hour. But what our state legislator wants to do, and our governor is very strong proponent of, is raise it to $15 an hour. What will that do to the small business owners?
I mean, let's face it, Jeff. We went to hearing where somebody proposed $38, literally $38. I think you did the math on that. It was $72,000 a year, and I think that was proposed because it would also pay for childcare as well if you made $72,000.
Yeah.
So you can imagine what a mom and pop pizza shop would be at $38 or $21. Right now, the governor is proposing $15.
And there's some that want to take it to $21 an hour. The harmful part the part that they're missing is business owners will be forced into a couple of different things, right? One could be to decrease worker hours, right? Because they can't afford all that. This is the single largest line item in a small business's budget. And if you take the minimum wage and slide it to $15, you're taking the entire pay scale of the organization and sliding it upward. Now, the person making $20 an hour is going to want $27 or $30 an hour. It's going to, what else is it going to do? It's going to create inflation, right? Why?
Sure, you're going to have to pay more for a hamburger because you have to pay 60% of your small business are going to have to increase their prices. So your hamburger now goes up to $20 or $30.
Yeah.
So again, we don't think that everybody should make $7.25. We're not saying that. We're just saying stay out of our business.
Yeah. So
let us manage our own business, and
Yeah, the main point, I think, behind a lot of the legislation that we're looking at, that we're opposed to, and small businesses, our network is opposed to, is why does our state government feel the need to tell us how to run our business, right? People don't have to work for $7.25 an hour. I mean, Sheetz is paying, $18, $20 an hour or more, right? So you can go work really anywhere you want. It's not, minimum wage wasn't designed to be a living wage.
Right.
It was designed to give someone a chance, a start. Someone with no skills, no experience. Again, the nonprofits, right? And really the underlying message here is we don't need state government to tell a small business person how to run their business, what to pay their people, or let's touch on one more topic. Let's touch on the mandatory 20-week paid family leave topic, because I love this one.
This is 20-week. Now, the interesting thing, they've changed it and amended some things, so it's not quite there yet. but they are proposing that actually our employees would be paying a tax into this program.
It'd be
that
an
would
extra tax
an extra
coming out
tax
of the paycheck. Yeah.
out of your paycheck that would pay for the 20-week leave. It's not coming out of nowhere, right? And the other 50% would be coming from your employer.
So what is it, Tracy? It's if you're going to have a baby or if you have a family member that's sick.
Yeah, I think it can go on. Paid time off for paternity or maternity leave, family that's sick. I don't know how you're going to be able to figure all of that out. Is it going to be for depression? The latest that they added in and amended was anybody who had any violent crime, violent sexual assault. They were also going to be allowed to have 20 weeks.
You just need a note from
a counselor,
like
counselor
that.
of some sort.
So here's my main issue with 20-week paid family leave. One is, again, I don't think it's a state government's job to tell us how much leave to give our employees, right? They can come to work for us because they like our leave policy, or they don't have to work for us because they don't like our leave policy. But my biggest issue with it as a small business owner, how do I train to fill that position? Like, that person is now going to take 20 weeks off. I've got, say, maybe 10 employees.
Yeah.
What if 2 people are out? How do I train and fill that position? Because it really does take close to a year for someone to get ingrained in an organization, become part of the culture, and then now 20 weeks later, I have to bring that person back.
Yeah. So we had a front desk manager, and when she was away, we had to pay somebody to fill her slot. Eventually, if she was away for 20 weeks, I would have been filling that slot as an owner for 20 weeks because we just wouldn't been able to afford to pay the person who's doing her job. Eventually it comes down onto the owner. Yeah. So anyway.
So those are 2 kind of key pieces of legislation. There's one other thing I want to talk about that is actually a federal issue. So the GoBigSmallBiz network, we focus primarily on state issues. We're Pennsylvania statewide. We're focused on strictly Pennsylvania business issues, business legislation that's being proposed currently, harmful to small businesses. But there is one that just happened. It's a federal law that just went into effect in January of this year.
Correct. It actually started in 2019, and for some reason, they felt the need to I'm going to say it, penalized 33 million small businesses, and because they wanted to prevent money laundering and fraud.
Yeah, this is the United States Treasury's Financial Crimes Network. It's otherwise known as FinCEN, and that's their claim. They're claiming to catch money laundering. They're claiming to catch small businesses funding terrorist organizations. But here's the thing. It applies to companies that employ 20 or fewer employees, under $5 million in revenue, and an owner that owns more than 25% of the company.
That's small.
That's small.
That's your smallest business.
That's the smallest of small businesses, right? That law applies to, there's roughly 32 million small businesses in our country that fit that criteria. Now, there are some exemptions. There's like 23 exemptions to this law. But if you fit any one of the 3 that we just talked about,
sole proprietor, you do not.
Sole proprietor, you do not. And nonprofits and financial institutions.
Correct. Apparently, financial institutions already have to fill out something like this.
Regulation.
So
what if you don't do it, right? If you don't do it, it's
3 years in jail, $500 fine, up to a day, up to $10,000.
$10,000. $10,000 in fines, but really 3 years in jail.
They have done nothing. Nothing. Department of Treasury has done nothing to tell any of the small businesses that
this is in effect.
This is even in
Yeah,
effect.
just
So
went into effect January 1st of this year. If you had an LLC or a corporation or a small business prior to January 1st of this year, you have all of this year to fill out this paperwork with the United States Treasury. If you open a business this year, I think you have
90 days.
To open it. So failure to do either one of those things, you are then subject to the $500 a day fine up to $10,000 and 3 years in jail. And that just absolutely blows my mind. I'll tell you,
Dozens?
12 out of 10 business owners that I talk to
He likes to say that.
knows nothing about this. 12 out of 10. That's a real statistic. People don't know about it.
They don't know.
I was with a group of business leaders yesterday. We were talking about this. These are rather astute businessmen and women. And they were like, what are you talking about? In fact, most business owners I talk to about this, they're in disbelief. They think we're making it up. But here's the thing, okay, because we've got to wrap this up soon. These pieces of legislation, as well as the Corporate Transparency Act that we just talked about, it's all on our website at GoBigSmallBiz.com. That's GoBigSmallBiz, B-I-Z.com. When you get there, you'll hit a Take Action page. Each piece of these legislations are on our website.
We have
There's a click of a button where you can learn as much as you want about them. There's also a click of a button where you can
take action.
just put your name in there and hit Take Action. And that letter that we've pre-written, and you can edit if you want to edit that letter, right?
Yeah.
Will go directly to the representative of the zip code that you fill.
The-
It's super easy, takes less than a minute.
The
to
rep,
do.
depending on what it is, but for instance, the corporate transparency goes to your congressman
Yeah.
and our senator.
Yeah.
So
So that's what we got. What you can do, hey, listen, join our network, right? If you go Take Action, you'll automatically join our network. You'll get communications from us on upcoming legislations, how things are moving, our newsletter. You'll be informed to the degree that you want to be informed, and you can take action to the degree you want to take action. All that you can do at no cost. Or you can choose to subscribe, okay, to the network. It's just $19 a month. We did that on purpose so that every small business can subscribe. And look, every dollar goes to supporting us as an organization. It affords us the ability to be at the Capitol on a regular basis.
And
meeting with
communicate it all.
legislators. Yep, and it supports communications back to you. So go ahead, jump on our website. It's GoBigSmallBiz.com. That's GoBigSmallBiz.com.
and we're here for every business to thrive.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
The freedom to
The
thrive.
freedom to thrive.
So.
Giving big boy
Big boy.
giving a big voice to small business.
Yeah. Thanks for being with us. And we'll be back again with more information and other legislation to talk about. And maybe some guests, right? Some business
Sure.
leaders
Yeah.
and some legislators. So
Yeah.
you can hear directly from them.
Awesome.
All right. That's it.